Hey guys, it's Donnie Burles, and it's episode 2 of Eat It Up. Thank you guys so much for listening to last week's episode. I got a lot of really good feedback from it. If you haven't, you can subscribe now to our podcast in iTunes. Just search Buffalo Eats or Eat It Up. You'll probably see our show on there. And that way you get the episode downloaded almost as soon as we post it, and you don't even have to think about it. And it goes right to your phone or iPod or whatever. So if you would do me the favor and subscribe, it would be really cool. If you don't have iTunes, we also have a link on this podcast where whatever you're using, Android or whatever, you just put in the link, copy and paste, and it'll download to whatever device that is. So if you could do that, that'd be great. If you can't, whatever, listen to the site. Hope you guys enjoy it. Since our last episode, we've had a couple of things happen in the news. The biggest is there's been a string of closings that happened in Buffalo. Last week, or kind of in the last 2 weeks, Alice's Kitchen, which was a diner on Sheridan in Amherst that's been open for about 35 years, closed. We also saw Sweet Tooth, a dessert shop in the kind of Allentown area, closed down, unfortunately. And Pizza Junction, which is a pretty popular pizza place in Tonawanda that was featured on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives last year. That, unfortunately, kind of closed. They're turning into a virtual pizzeria, but it's weird. They're only shipping half-cooked pizzas that are frozen. I don't understand it, but that's what they decided to do. It's a downer, but unfortunately, we lost those 3 restaurants in the last 2 weeks, 2 of which we have on the site. I've only been to Alice's Kitchen once. It was a long time ago. My dad still remembers eating there, and he loves it. I wish I could say I had a fond memory of it, but a lot of our followers, when we posted that they were closing, were pretty upset, so it's a shame. New on the site, we had a food porn from No Ramen, which is the new Japanese traditional ramen place that opened. Me and Allie went there. I think it was like the 3rd day after it opened. Really good meal. I would really like to go back. I'm excited somebody's doing this kind of thing in Buffalo. I hope they get a lot of buzz from it. It gets pretty popular because I'd like to see more people do this kind of thing. Step out and do a cuisine that's not being offered in the area. But we liked it, and so I definitely recommend it. You probably wait a week or 2 for them to get their liquor license and get credit cards and all that stuff, but you can still go there now. They take cash. So, I don't know. Check it out. We also went to Gordon Bursch, the San Francisco chain that opened in the Walden Galleria. Really good beer menu. The food was pretty okay. Some of it was hit or miss. The lobster and shrimp tacos, though, are fantastic. So if you want something quick, maybe run to the bar, grab a beer, and some shrimp tacos. We also visited English Pork Pie Company, which was... we didn't really visit. We ate 5 of their menu items. That was an awesome Christmas gift from my Uncle Walt. It's just ridiculously good food. Really good for cold weather. You kind of have to go to their shop in South Buffalo to get the food, but it's definitely worth it. You kind of reheat it on your own, but just really, really high-quality English pub food, basically, I guess. Which brings me to today's guest, Dining Rumor, Buffalo's own anonymous restaurant gossip blogger. I had a chance to meet with them back on the 5th of January. We sat down in the recording studio here and I don't know, talked for about 40 minutes about the restaurant world, how he gets his information, what he wants his website to do. I think it was a pretty interesting conversation. I think you'll enjoy it. I will warn you that we did occasionally use a curse word here or there. So if anyone's listening to this on speakers and around grandparents or coworkers, I guess, be forewarned. It's not a crazy profanity-laden podcast, but occasionally we did drop a curse. So if that's an issue, I understand. Just letting you know ahead of time. I hope you enjoy the podcast, and here you go. Has anyone tried to figure it out? Like, have you gotten like have you gotten like people trying to hunt you down or anything like that?
Not yet.
Not yet?
No.
You haven't pissed anybody off?
Well, that's part of the deal. Is the longer I'm nice to everybody, the longer I get to be left alone.
I mean, you're starting to get, I think, a pretty good public presence. I mean, I've definitely seen the Facebook pages, the likes grow, and I mean, you even had that article on Andrew Gillinaro's blog. Yeah, where he pimped your.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Which that was surprising. Yeah, I got a nice little pop on Facebook in the last couple days. I think nice. With all the AIDS business. So.
Oh yeah, that's been kind of crazy.
Yeah, a little weird.
Yeah, but I mean, is that something that you're worried about? Is getting somebody who's going to be pissed off or?
Well, I'm not. I don't want to piss anybody off.
Yeah,
intentionally. I have a different set of morals for what I do with that blog, which it would probably do me well to live my life by a little bit, but I don't. But I just want to get along with everybody. You know what I mean?
All right.
I definitely. I try not to editorialize. I have a lot of thoughts about a lot of people, and a lot of them aren't good. I'm not going to bother posting that because that just makes me seem vengeful, and it sort of discredits what I'm trying to do. So, I ultimately want to be respected as far as like,
and then I guess trustworthy. Like,
I mean,
like it so that you're not. It's not like a personal. Like, so you're not saying a guy's an asshole because you worked for them,
right,
or something like that.
I've worked for plenty of assholes.
By the way, you can swear. There's no advertising. This is all on my site, so I will put a warning on it, and that'll be that.
Okay, I was going to ask about that actually.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment we're kind of doing this guerrilla style, so cool. I'm kind of making up my own rules as we go.
I like it.
So I guess like the big thing I wanted to ask you. I mean, we'll get into the whole history of your working in restaurants and things like that without being specific, obviously.
Okay. Yeah.
But what do you see as your blog? Like, what do you? I mean, you've been interested in breaking news about openings and closings,
sure,
liquor licenses. But is there something you don't want to get involved in? I mean, like the biggest thing is when I first found out about you, I immediately thought of this Chicago food service blog that came out, and the guy was like TMZ style.
Oh,
like he was talking about like owners who are cheating on their wives with waitresses and like naming names.
Yeah,
like it was pretty. I don't know. I mean, it was a little. I guess you could say soap opera-ish, but
sure.
I mean, is there any part of that you could envision yourself? I mean, is it going to be mostly business related, or do you see any potential for it to be personal? Because Buffalo's a small town, everybody knows everybody.
Very, very small. Which, well, that would make me staying anonymous very difficult. If I started doing that. B, like, I just, I'm not out to ruin anybody like that, and I feel like that would be shady to do. I mean, by the way, the guy is getting sued now. I mean, there you go.
This full story, and that's how his identity eventually came out. Was he got a lawsuit from a restaurant owner.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't want. I feel like if I'm gonna be ballsy enough to say something like that about someone, I'm gonna sign my name on it. If I'm gonna slam somebody, I should at least be man enough to tell them who I am and to face them and not hide behind a name.
So, I mean, do you think your advantage is that you don't have to verify sources that, like, let's say, like the Buffalo News would have to do? I mean, because let's break it down. How do you, without giving away too much, how do you come across most of your information that you get?
Well, everybody talks. You work with people who talk about other people. You have owners that are friends with other owners. That you sometimes get drunk with. And, I mean, people just like to talk, and that's sort of, slamming other people and talking shit definitely is a big pastime for a lot of people, and just,
like the after, like when the place closes down and everyone's hanging out kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's different every place you work, but yeah, I mean, you'll have egomaniacs that you have to work for, whose food is better than everyone else's, and anytime someone else has some endeavor, it's always, so-and-so's doing this, I'm so much better chef than he is, and so, you hear things that way, you hear things from, other servers, a lot of people in the service industry community know each other, so, you go visit them at work, and sometimes they come visit you, so.
Is it kind of, is there, like, different cliques, like, I've never worked in a restaurant, but do the waiters hang out with other waiters from other restaurants? Is it like that, or is it kind of just everybody mixes?
I think everybody has the common denominator of being in that industry, so everybody's just cool for the most part, like the fact that you work at like the Chop House doesn't mean you don't know the bartender at the Pink and stuff like that.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
I'm so jealous of that world. Like, I feel like I mean, it's way too late, but I feel sometimes like I have a missed calling that I would have enjoyed that crazy lifestyle. I mean, I loved working in retail. I mentioned this last episode with Krista,
right?
And I just loved that camaraderie that everyone had, because we hated it. I mean, there's a part of it where, like, I hate the customer so much that we all enjoy each other that much more.
Right.
It's like that bonding experience of like that.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it seems like restaurant world, from the brief amount that I know and reading, obviously, Anthony Bourdain, that there's that kind of connection in a kitchen and even in a restaurant where, these jackass customers that none of us can stand.
It's every day and every shift, and sometimes every other table, where, like, it's funny because I generally consider myself to be pretty straightforward and honest person, but like when I'm at work, I am completely two-faced, and I'll be waiting on you, and you might not know whether or not I like you, but everybody else that works at the restaurant's gonna know. I'm if you're giving me shit, then I'm talking shit about you. And
it's like that one thing where as soon as you go behind those doors, it just
well, yeah, and sometimes being a server, you're working in the front of the house, so you have to be nice to everybody on the floor, everybody that's dining. And as soon as you go back into the kitchen, I mean, those guys are rough around the edges, and there's a reason why you have servers, and there's a reason why they're not dealing with the customer. So they just have no filter. And so you have to, like, negotiate between front of the house and back of the house. And so a lot of times, if you're bitching with the kitchen staff, it's sometimes more of like you're ingratiating yourself to them because, you need something that didn't go out on a plate, and they're busy, and you have to get it from them, and they're going to be pissed. It doesn't matter if it was your fault, their fault, or whatever. And so it's kind of like, you have to negotiate how to it's easier to be pissed off with a cook than it is to try and argue about it. Like, it's just,
well, I was gonna reach this later, but I kind of want to know. I like, whenever we review a restaurant, I try to factor in the service, and I wanted to ask somebody who works in it. Okay, so I came up with an analogy that the service at a restaurant should be like an offensive line in football, which is, if it's really good, you don't ever notice it, or you don't say anything bad. Right. But if it's really bad, it's super obvious.
Right.
And I never understand, like, I've gotten criticism before because I've written about what I perceived as bad service, but then somebody's like, you have no idea if it's the server's fault for your food taking so long, or things like that. Is there any way that you can tell me when I would be able to tell if there's an issue between... I mean, I'm sure you've worked with servers who are bad.
Sure. I've been a bad server.
But, I mean, for me, I guess this has nothing to do with anyone who's listening, but for restaurant reviewers, I'm sure there's a couple who listen to this. How can you differentiate between a kitchen that sucks and a server that sucks?
That's really difficult for a customer to do.
Okay.
it's even difficult sometimes for me to do when I am a customer in a restaurant.
Yeah.
I'd say if they're a good server, then they're going to be, I don't know, they're not going to just hang you out to dry. Like, I know that there have been times where I've worked in a restaurant where, the kitchen is just crashed and they're not doing anything and nothing is coming out on time. People are waiting a really long time for food. And usually, most of the time, customers are okay when you warn them of that fact early on.
Okay.
So if they're walking into a shit show, like, that's one of the first things that you should say.
Yeah.
If things like start to go downhill, like in the middle of their service, like sometimes that's difficult to recover.
Yeah.
You just, you have to be straightforward. I try not to blame anybody.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess you're saying as long as the server's being straightforward with you and they're not just disappearing for like a half hour at a time or something.
Which sometimes happens.
Okay.
And that's, I've been that guy before too. And sometimes you're backed up and on the floor too, so it's really difficult. But basically it is it comes down to the attitude of the server, I guess, really. If they're obviously they're going to be stressed out, but if they're taking it out on you or you're taking it out on them, like, things aren't going to end well, so it's communication, and sitting at a table in a restaurant is always a tense situation for everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess let's start at the beginning. How long have you worked in the restaurant industry, let's say?
I've been in the service industry for about 14 years, and specifically in restaurants, as a server, about 7 or 8. Okay. So
and do you have have you moved around a little bit, or?
A little, yeah.
I mean, obviously, without trying to give any specifics away.
Yeah, no, I've bounced around a little bit.
Okay.
I've worked for corporate places. I've worked for local. I even was out of town for a little while, so I worked out of town.
Okay. Now, are you a Buffalo born and raised?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is it about the restaurant world that has made you stay around? Or I guess even the service, but particularly the restaurant world.
It's, I don't know. I don't even know why I started it in the first place. At the time, I guess I thought, that you make cash, that it's easy money, and that
I have heard that the cash is
great, and that's a big reason why people do it.
Yeah,
and for me that's great, but it also burns a hole in my pocket. But I guess there was sort of, before I was ever working in a restaurant, there was always kind of a mystique about restaurants, and I guess I had this perception of people in the industry as sort of being, I don't know, this is completely out of just this impression is totally bogus, but people in the industry being in some kind of a little bit of a power position.
Okay.
And that they always seemed cool. And, that was just kind of my thought as a kid.
No, I can see that. I mean, I probably didn't think that when I was a kid, but in the last couple of years, it seems like I don't know. It seems like it's getting cooler to be in a restaurant. Maybe not glamorous cooler, but edgy cool, I guess.
Yeah. I think you're right about that. I think there's more people are paying more attention to restaurants now.
Yeah.
So and being a part of something like that, it's like a club.
Yeah.
And
I mean, do you see yourself as a lifer, so to speak?
It depends on the day, man. It's a hard job. I mean, there are ways where it's good money for the time that you spend at work, but people in the industry are notorious drinkers and whatever else,
and it's late nights.
It's late nights. It's working weekends and holidays.
So yeah, the whole working when everyone else isn't working thing.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. And it's there are things about it that really do suck and that are tough to deal with.
Yeah.
I don't think I would want to be in the position I am now as a lifer. I wouldn't want to be necessarily a waiter or a bartender for the rest of my life. That would depend where I was doing it, but I mean, it really depends on the day. I have other goals. I have other things that I'm trying to achieve, and if those things pan out, then awesome. I would definitely miss the service industry.
Yeah, of course.
And maybe even like try and get like a few hours a week somewhere if my life
to not
turned out
cut cold turkey, so to speak.
Yeah, because it is kind of fun, and you get to meet people and you get to hang out, and so there's that aspect of it that I would miss, but
so I guess if it was the right situation,
if I found myself in the right place, or if things worked out in some way where I didn't have to rely on it, I guess maybe that's the best way to put it.
Okay.
If I didn't have to rely on it for a living,
I mean, because I guess that probably changes the whole outlook. You're there. I mean, you'd be there working because you wanted to, not because you had to.
Right.
And I guess that would change everything.
Right. Yeah. And in that sense, I could see myself doing it. Till I get old and creaky.
So I guess how did the idea for Dining Room even start? Like, I mean, were you aware of other blogs out there, like in other cities, or?
That's a good question. That was something I was thinking about today. I haven't ever read any of the other blogs or anything else online. I don't know. I didn't want to have to read about someone else's stress at work or whatever when I had enough, in my own life. So I was never really interested in seeking it out, and I was thinking about the generation of the idea, where it came from, because it was just sort of somehow it just popped into my head one day, and actually, I know I had the idea probably in May of last year. It's when I started my Twitter account.
Because that's how I knew about it. I think you followed me. And that's how I knew you existed, I guess.
I didn't start following you, I think, until late August or early September or something like that. But okay. I sort of had this idea of, I guess I kind of realized I was privy to some information that not everyone else is, being on the side of, being a server. That it would be interesting to talk about or whatever, and that I think that other people would have found interesting. So I initially started without any other concepts or rules. I think I started a Twitter account at first, and as I thought about it more and more, and before I even made my first post, the idea kind of changed, because initially it was that sort of dramatic, TMZ type shit, because I do know things like that.
I mean, I don't know anyone on the inside except for a handful of people, and I've gotten to hear,
there's
stories that would be amazing just to tell people.
There's some absurd, awesome, ridiculous stories.
That I'm sure get passed around in the social circle. But.
Absolutely. Yeah. So like, that was what I thought it was going to be initially. And then, the idea kind of changed. For one thing, my being anonymous kind of bothered me about that idea. The other thing was, it's just kind of shitty. Like, I don't.
You don't want to break up families or anything.
Yeah,
like
I mean, I can think of a handful of people that I really just don't dislike, and if I had dirt on them, I still wouldn't use it because I don't think that's just.
You're not just going for page views.
I want to be a little respectable, you know. Right. And I think people get the wrong idea that because I'm anonymous, I'm trying to get away with something.
Yeah,
and that's just not the case at all. I try to be transparent as possible with how I find out my information without giving away people's identities or my identity.
Has anyone around you suspected anything?
No.
Okay.
The people who know are like the people I've told, and you know, there's a handful of people. Like,
okay.
And you're actually the only person that I've met doing this.
Okay.
Not in disguise.
Really?
Yeah. I considered it, but you seem like a trustworthy guy.
Were you gonna wear a mustache?
No, but I will tell you that when I interviewed Corey and Cheryl Clay,
I was going to ask how that happened.
Franklin, that I was in a disguise of a type. I'm not going to tell you what or how.
Can you tell me off camera or off mic?
Oh yeah,
okay,
sure. I can tell you that off the record. Absolutely.
Oh my god, that's great. I would have loved that if you just came in here with a huge, like, orange wig or something like that.
Damn, now I feel disappointing.
Oh my god, that'd have been great. I thought we were cool with our, like, Darth Vader voice we were going to put on you.
You know what? That doesn't sound so bad. Can you make me Darth Vader? That would be really cool.
We'll mess around with it. We actually, like, literally for, like, a whole night, for, like, a good hour, we were just down here messing around with my voice, trying to see if we could... Because, like, the whole point of you being anonymous, like, I enjoy that. I think it's kind of cool.
Sure.
And especially in Buffalo where nothing is anonymous, that everyone finds out about everything.
Right.
I think that you're an anonymity.
Anonymity.
Oh, God, I can't. Your anonymity. I think that it might. It's going to be strained. Like I feel like the longer you go and the more popular you are, that it's going to be harder.
I don't think I'm going to be able to. I'm under no illusion that I'm going to be able to keep up the charade for all that long, and I don't necessarily intend to either.
Yeah.
You know, it really depends on, I guess.
I mean, you're not saying anything too crazy. I mean, either. Right. You're not like... You're reporting on things that are about to happen. I mean, for the most part, or things that you've heard.
Yeah, well, you know, like, I guess I sort of developed a few rules of thumb, and these are completely unwritten, but, like, you know, one of them is not to start shit, basically. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to piss anyone off. And there was a moment when Mike Andruszewski dropped by my Facebook page, and I kind of shat myself because I was like, "Fuck, he kind of sounds pissed," you know. Like that wasn't what I was intending to do, but at the same time, he had a really good point that was like, you know, if you want to know something, then you know, just ask, like, talk to me, I'm like available, and that doesn't really occur to me a lot of times because I don't find that traditionally, I don't find chefs or business owners to be entirely trustworthy with their opinion of themselves. You know what I mean?
That's understandable.
And that's just sort of general, like, you know, and the way that they talk about things is.
By the way, that interview with Mike was awesome. And we interviewed him just shortly before that, and yours is way more interesting. Well, I mean, it's cool to see where he eats and everything, but him ripping apart people, calling out his authenticity.
I think he enjoyed that.
That was, I mean, he briefly mentioned that to me, but like I couldn't find a place to put that. But yours was so much better.
Well, when you interviewed him, I was like, shit, because I had sent him an email. I don't know, maybe like a week before that, and he was like, "Oh wow, you know, I really slow typer. I'll get back to you when I can." I was like, "Okay, cool." And then your interview came out, and I was like, "Oh, like, damn it, Donnie got there first." So I almost felt like, you know, that my interview was going to be redundant or whatever.
No way, he touched on some way more hitting subjects, I think.
I think this is the other thing, and bring it back, is, even though I don't find a lot of people to be all that trustworthy with the opinion of themselves and their business, there are some that really are, and I think Mike seems like he is, and in some cases I feel like, when I'm hearing from business owners, it's because they don't have any other forum to talk about stuff, and they don't, they're not all running websites. I mean, I'm sure they all have Facebook pages and whatever, but they don't have, the ear of maybe some people that I do. And so I think the reason why some of them have come to me is, if they do want to get the story straight, then they can tell me.
So he reached out to you. Did the new owners of Roof Franklin reach out to you, or did you reach out to them?
No, I reached out to them, actually. I got a tip from a friend of mine in the industry who said that they had seen the former owners dining with the current owners somewhere, and that, the Roo was for sale. And this person actually sounded like they must know somebody that works there because they had like figures.
Oh wow.
And I hadn't really gotten a lot of info from this person before, so I was like, okay, this seems really specific. I mean, maybe I should check this out. So I called just to like confirm that there was a sale going down.
Yeah.
And
did you like pose as like a potential buyer?
No. No, but I was like, when I called, Corey answered, and I didn't expect to get him on the phone, but he was like, oh yeah, you can talk to me about that. I'm the guy that bought it.
Nice.
And I was like, oh shit, what do I do now? And so I told him I wanted to write an article or do an interview or whatever. I didn't tell him who I was.
You didn't tell him like who you were writing for, so to speak?
Well, I told him, and you know what, I'm gonna honestly say I somewhat misled him. I told him I was gonna try to sell the article to a local publication like Art Voice or something like that.
Yeah.
Who I did try to get in touch with, but nobody got back to me. So whatever. But I was planning on publishing it on my website anyway.
Okay.
But and that was, it was weird. But I called him and then I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was kind of like, oh man, I guess I'm really in it now.
That's kind of when we started the podcast.
Yeah.
Me and my brother were like, this is going to be really cool. We're going to have people come over. And then like right before Krista came down here, who was the first one we did, I was like freaking out. Like, I didn't even realize I have to talk to her for like an hour. Like, what am I going to say? And thank God she was super easy to talk to and everything.
Well, yeah, I just listened to that today and it went really well.
Yeah.
Like, I was pretty impressed.
Yeah.
That sounded really good. So,
Thank you. Yeah.
This comes out half as good, then I'll be happy.
I think we're on a good pace.
I think you did a good job. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But so I guess I kind of want to talk about, where do you see the blog going from here? Like you've kind of written a bunch of, you kind of have different types of posts. Like you've had a couple interviews.
Yeah.
You've had kind of like bullet style things where you want to touch on a bunch of things.
Right.
And then even had kind of like a little personal story about like a late night bender.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of all over and I like that. I enjoy all that. I mean, that was pretty entertaining. The crawling back to your hotel room story.
I'm glad you like that. I guess I'm just sort of, I have a certain set of ideas that, I feel like for posts, I guess, that I want to cycle through. I mean, and honestly, I'm not in the position to get a ton of news all the time. So, when I started Other Features, it was more out of the fear that I just wouldn't be able to sustain the blog for as long as I wanted to,
Yeah.
Even though I think that some of those are good features.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to continue doing those. I don't see it changing too much from what it is right now. I initially thought that maybe even restaurant reviews were going to be something that I would be doing on that site.
I'd be interested in seeing that.
Well, you might get to see an interview soon, or a review soon, but I don't know if that. I don't think it's necessarily appropriate for what that blog is about.
Okay.
So, but I do like getting to hear interesting stuff and posting about it. I do like doing a little personal writing, and so I mean, all that, aside from the news, all of it is kind of my personal experience of being in the industry and how that plays out, I guess. So,
I mean, it's I enjoy it. I mean, it's definitely, you have a really good, I don't want to say casual, but it's a really personable writing style, and it's really easy to read, and it's something like, I mean, unless you know people on the inside, and unless you're part of that community, I mean, a lot of that stuff I would have no idea about until I read it on either a Buffalo news story or somebody finally posting it on Twitter that something's happening.
Sure.
And I don't know. I hope you. I mean, is that hard though? I mean, getting that many sources and getting that much information. I mean, because I don't. I mean, I was trying to think of how to say this. The whole gathering information like that, is that really a post-work type of thing? I mean, or is, because I mean, I'm assuming if you're working all day, if it's like a rush or anything like that, you're not just going to stand around talking about.
Yeah, it's that stuff comes in different ways.
Yeah.
And I just and believe me, I don't know everything. I'm not privy to like every secret, and
yeah.
I
as much as possible. I mean, I'm sure you're not getting the craziest drama from. I mean, okay, if you work in one specific area of Buffalo,
right?
Let's say you work in the city. I don't know where you work.
Right.
You're not getting all the crazy Amherst drama that maybe if you worked out there in a different community or in the South Towns, whatever.
Right.
So I mean, you're probably getting a slice of it.
Sure. It is. It is really specific, I guess, to areas. It's specific to, where I hang out and who I'm talking to. But I mean, before, when it was just me going out, like, even, years ago or whatever, I'm just going out and hearing stuff, or being at work and hearing stuff, and like, that info just circulates, and it circulates a lot in that community. So, like, I'm not even necessarily on the forefront all the time of what that news is. It's just that people in the service industry hear it first, and I happen to be in the service industry, so I can. It's just that nobody else is writing about it, really.
Yeah.
So it's like. I get info in different ways, and sometimes people are tipping me off, some people that I know, and sometimes just me like going to a bar, visiting my favorite bartender, and mentions something. He's heard something
from somebody.
He's heard something, or knows something about somebody across the street or something. Like, it's it comes in all different sorts of ways, and I'm not always looking for it either, too. So, which is, I guess, why I started noticing that. People are saying stuff, I'm nobody, and that's like, that's also part of why I want to be anonymous. But like, I'm nobody. Like, I literally don't matter. Like, I'm thoroughly replaceable. Like, I don't. I like to think that I'm good at my job, but
you don't want to make it seem like you being anonymous is like any way trying to be cocky or that you feel like.
I'm not trying to be like coy or anything like that either. And it's just like, I hear things because nobody knows not to tell me them, or nobody knows who I am, or
hopefully that goes on for a lot longer.
I've been nobody for a long time, I think.
I didn't mean being nobody. I meant hopefully nobody realizes who you are. I hope you are very successful.
Well, I'm okay with it though. I, 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 if people had a face and a name, you know, I feel like that would change things, and I wouldn't.
Well, obviously, you'd reduce your sources, probably.
Right. And I'd probably pick other ones up that maybe I wouldn't really want.
Yeah, true. So has that happened? I mean, you said a couple of people know you. Are there people who are specifically giving you information?
There are some, yeah.
I mean, obviously, I don't want you to name
names,
but
no.
Are there people who are giving you information hoping that you pass it on?
Not yet. I mean, I guess. Well, no, there are people who have given me information that know I'm going to pass it on.
Okay. But nobody. I mean,
nobody's tried to like fool me with information.
Well, I guess that I didn't even think about that. I just meant like somebody who wants you to break a story.
Yeah, no, not really. I haven't had that yet. You know, there's somebody not long ago who emailed me about something that I wasn't entirely comfortable with the idea, because it seemed my initial reaction was that this person wants, you know, free press or wants free advertising. Or
was it from the person themselves? Like they wanted you to talk about them?
Kind of.
Okay.
And it didn't end up being what it was, what I thought it was initially.
Okay.
But at the same time, I had reservations, and that's another kind of rule of thumb I have is I'm not trying to advertise anybody. I would kind of feel compromised in that way. So I was like, listen, if there's a story, I'm going to hang on to this information. If there's something that I can write about out of it that is related to what I think, you know, my blog is specializing in, then I'll definitely do it. And I did. I found a way, because it was related to the service industry and it was interesting. But I didn't initially. My impression was that I was kind of weird about it. So, but yeah, I haven't experienced anyone trying to like pass off weird information.
I was gonna say, like, have you not posted things that you've heard?
Oh, definitely.
Well, I mean, besides like the personal stuff, I mean,
yeah, there's a few things that I haven't posted. You know, sometimes the stuff that I do post, I don't post right away.
Okay.
Either because, you know, maybe somebody's asked me not to, or I think it's better to sit on it for a minute, or, you know, or it would give me or someone else away. So yeah, I mean, sometimes you definitely have to consider, like, you know, whether or not you should or how soon you should.
Okay. Well, at least you have like a set of morals and.
I try.
I mean, you don't. I don't know, as many as you can with the dining room vlog. But I mean, yeah, I guess that's where I was getting at is if where you draw the line with all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to just be aware of people. You know, I mean, you want to think that everybody is not a liar and is you know, but I mean, not everyone's going to look out for you that way. So, you know, it's just being kind of smart about who you listen to and that sort of thing. Which, you know, I'm still learning lessons about that.
That's good. Well, thanks for coming down here, man.
Absolutely.
I think we covered pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Cool. So, really appreciate it, especially for not wearing a costume. That would have been so great if it was like the most like obvious costume, just like you were some super like long like dreadlock wig or something like that.
See, now next time if anybody wants to do this with me again,
you have no idea what you're getting.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
Show up in a policeman outfit or something.
Well, that could get a little weird. They might think I was a stripper.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for coming.
Absolutely.